A cheerleader. I'm a pure cheerleader.
All right, if you're in here, you already know that he's cutting up. They're cutting up already.
All right, what's going on out there, y'all?
It is impromptu. Linda Langdon is in the house.
We prompting up here.
Hey, Linda.
Sister Langdon, we propped up here.
Linda. She is the only one here in the first
Miss
one.
Linda, I'm ready to pop from the beginning.
You are.
You're right. You've been popping already.
Yeah, I'm popped. I'm ready to pop and pop some more.
Have mercy.
You get around people like y'all, you have to do something.
I know that's right.
Y'all running
What
man.
are we talking about today?
Y'all running around crazy.
What y'all gonna talk about?
I don't know.
Y'all cutting up so bad. So welcome to Impromptu. If you get in here and you see who we are, we're gonna be talking about something that never leave you. Yeah, let's tell them who we are first, in case somebody comes in that doesn't know us.
Do y'all know who we are?
If they may not know us,
Well, we're gonna tell you.
I
am who you are.
Toni Sawyer. This is my
I
husband.
am who you are.
This is my husband, Clifton Sawyer.
Yes.
And this is my co-host,
yes.
Pastor Norman.
Yes.
Welcome to Impromptu.
And
you've never been here before.
And I am who everybody is.
And here comes Dee Dee. Hey, Dee Dee.
I am Dee Dee.
There's Buzz.
I am Buzz. I am Marie. I am Linda.
Linda says she's looking forward to the popping.
I like that word. I'm going to call her Mr. Mrs. Poppin. Mary, Linda Poppin and Sawyer Poppin. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah. So what are y'all going to talk about, though?
I just told you everything. I just told you never come to the end.
You going to kick it off?
No, that's all I need to say right there. You go ahead.
Well, I mean, you got something you want to talk about.
I ain't got nothing.
What do you want to talk about, Pastor Norman?
Yeah, I got something.
I've been focused on so many different things, but I could truly say a couple of Tuesdays ago, y'all was talking about something that was very insightful. I actually thought we was going to get on it last week when y'all was talking about judgments again. And
that was on Tuesday, you said?
That was about 2 Tuesdays ago.
2 Tuesdays.
Okay.
You
have to refresh my memory. I don't remember what we said.
We're pretty much we was talking about once again the perceptions. What y'all guys was talking about how people form these opinions and perceptions of other people. Again, it was dealing with the topic of judgments and so forth. And it was an exciting topic. And so I actually thought you guys was going to follow up on that again last week on Impromptu, but it was it and others. I've talked to others. It kind of blessed them for people once again to come to the place that when we walk in oneness and we understand we're all part of the same entity. I'll say that way. Because the word of the Lord lets us know through the writers of Paul, he that has joined the Lord is one spirit.
Yeah.
And so if we walk in the true identity of who we really are, we wouldn't be making such assumptions or forming opinions that have become very toxic to our minds. And when it comes toxic to our minds, it actually becomes toxic to our identity. Yes. And so I thought it was very interesting how y'all were sharing how to deal with judgments or assumptions and opinions and perceptions that are being created about you. How do you handle those? And it was very interesting what y'all were sharing.
Well, one of the things I do know we talked about this morning just briefly was, and you were listening to some things that by a young man by the name of Aaron Atke mentioning that whenever we see, like for instance, he mentioned it, and we've talked about it before. Whenever you buy a car and you ride down the road, you see that car everywhere. You see that make of car everywhere. So that means that we actually are creating as we go, and we're creating that is already in our perception. So a lot of the things that people think about us, if you go back to judgments, which are opinions that they have of us, those are things actually that we are creating in our own perception.
Mhm.
Once you get into a percentage of in-depthness of unlocking the great door, the double doors, triple doors, the only lock that would unlock these doors for you to get into, where you can have a clear perspective of judgments, opinions, until you get through this door, or once you start working a combination that is given and implanted into the hidden mysteries of your true identity, the doors would automatically open for you to look at judgment through the eyes of stillness and the eyes of, here I go, I'm going to tell you, it is. You start looking at judgment through the eyes of no existence. Meaning, I don't want to say it. I can bring this whole phase of our class to an end if I say too much, because
go ahead and say
what happens is that once you go through the unlocked self, or once you understand what part is locked up into the fall of separation. Separation is the fall. Separation is the closed door. When Jesus came through the door of this place that the disciple was in, and it was closed, that's telling you that if you are the door, everything that he is, and we are, that no doors can keep you out, because you are an omnipotent, omnipresent, infinite identity. Now, as you move into this, you're going to find the natural, normal nature of an infinite being is to bypass judgments, in the sense of nothing is to be said about it, but it is to be observed about it. Now, the reactions that you're going to have would be like road rage. Road rage is judgment. Standing in a line waiting for whoever's at the cash register that picked up an item and didn't have a price tag, or these bars on the package. Everybody 15, 20, 30, 40, 100 people back is in judgment, unless, and you won't never know they're in judgment unless you can see behind those closed doors that says no one can see me but myself. And God ain't gonna tell on me. God don't tell on nobody. I think you better check if your underwear on backwards, because he will. So and tell you like that, he don't have. Here's another one. He don't have to tell us anything anymore, because we come to a place where the seer is the seeing part of knowing, and the knowing is the part of knowing that does not. You come to a place of, it's like this: how God gave Jesus into the hand for sinful men to be crucified. What he's saying in that is there will come a place where you won't have to seek permission to wear daddy's clothes, because you and daddy wear the same clothes. So a long time ago, you had to seek and find and knock to get manifestations of answers. Now you know where the answer come from. It don't come from asking. A hot dog. It don't come from seeking. A hot dog again. It don't come from studying either. Now there's another I got 3 hot dogs there. Now
I got a couple of comments.
I'm getting ready to shoot.
I know you were. I know. We're gonna have a conversation today.
Yeah,
I had to tell him that
I'm not gonna be the audience today. That's what I want to know at a time, so I can just sit back.
Go ahead on,
anyway,
girl.
Katrina is here. Katrina says she was just talking to her staff about that yesterday. About that training on this that we're talking about. And then Oliver, he comes in, he said the world is but a mirror that will reflect back to us what the monkey mind is thinking.
That's good, because I wanted to make that statement earlier. How we view ourselves is how others view us.
Yes.
And that's what happens.
Yes. And the thing is, we don't really we don't realize that it's happening, that it's happening because of us. We like to talk about we creating, but a lot of the things that are happening to us are happening not so much us being deliberate about anything, but it's in our perception. So it's the mirror that Oliver's talking about. So when a person is, say, standing in line and they're so slow and we're getting impatient and all of that, we're looking at ourselves because we've done the same thing. And
that's
so
Dad didn't have to Molly rebuked me through those statements, because I promise you, I went through all of that this morning. Go at my first stop in line, trying to get gas. One person working at the cash register with all these people, and then I'm like, okay, what's going on? Then coming here, because we on the road traveling, and I had a lot of road rage, Dad.
and I mean, we all have that because we all have what we call a shadow self.
Exactly.
That shadow self is that part, and Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. That shadow self is that part of us that still needs healing, still needs to wake up in that sense. So we're not talking at this moment. We're not talking in a non-dual sense, because if you go into the non-dual, none of that really matters. But in the everyday life that we live in,
the interim stage,
yes, that does matter, because it has to be healed. It has to be worked out of us. It's the undoing of the ego, undoing of that shadow self. And so that's why it's important that but the thing is, you knew you had road rage. A lot of people have it, and they just get triggered, and they don't realize why they get triggered. They just get triggered. But at least you're awake enough to understand what's triggering you and why you're standing there, why that thing is reacting inside of you.
We think sometimes. Go ahead.
I'm glad you said that, Mom, because I understood the reaction that I had this morning. Again, like I said, in line waiting to just pay for gas, and then people just driving all kind of crazy ways on the road coming here. But I realized when you were saying that part of my emotional reactions this morning was based off of a last conversation I had before I went to sleep last night, dealing with something. I received a phone call, and pretty much this stuff with people, again, judgments, forming opinions about people, and I'm like, what is wrong with people? Why don't they just focus on their own lives and stop being busybodies and stuff? And so I went to sleep with that thing on my mind, and I'm just realizing now that's why I had the reactions that I've had today with certain situations this morning while we've been traveling on the road.
Because it's still in your field of perception. And so whatever's in our field of perception, remember, go back to the car. We just bought a new car, and we see that car everywhere. We see that make of car, or we see that color of car everywhere. And so it's still in the field of our perception. So if it's in your field of perception, you will see that mirror appear to you in all kinds of situations. But it's there to help you get past the shadow self, or the pain body, I should say. You see some people when they're going down the highway, and they're just dipping in and out of traffic, and they're almost causing accidents. That's an active pain body. It's their field of perception. That's the mode that they're in, and so they're carrying that pain everywhere they go. Now Oliver says it happened to him twice this week. He was upset at Walmart for having limited registers open. He watched himself get triggered. Yes, and that's the key. You watch yourself get triggered. So you don't put judgment on yourself. You watch yourself.
Now, you ready?
Hey, Vincent.
You ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Go ahead.
Some things that you ride in called the Mekabar.
Okay.
The Mekabar is the horses and the chariot of the Lord. has come to pick me up because it's ready for me to move on in the fourth and fifth dimensions, fully loaded. Fully loaded. There's nothing to change about it. It is what you put in motion before you projected yourself here, that you finally realized as a grown-up that you are capable of looking at every one of them with a single eye, two being many. Just one.
Gotcha.
Now, one is that you are now ready to look at anything that used to distract you in order for some new things to come up to distract you. You're not going to find out the past thing that used to attract you don't mean anything anymore. So now when you get in the stream of this absolute oneness, absolute fulfilling the left side and the right side of the road, and you holding in the middle, you don't quit working it. You don't run out of gas, get down the road and get upset and sweating and a popping and a skipping and carrying on like you got a spark plug wire burn off. You just, hey, I was thinking about a guy was like that with another guy, had a flat tire on the road, and said the guy got out the car, didn't say nothing, went on back to the trunk, raised it up, pulled the old spare tire out of there, and just started putting it on there. And the rider that was with him said he didn't even get upset. He didn't say nothing about it. He didn't say how we're going to get back. Oh, Lord, I hope I got a spare tire, and I hope we got air in it. What we going to do if we stay out here all night? Oh, them thoughts go through your head. That is your classroom setting right there on the spot. I'm scared to say this, Pastor Norman, you got, because everybody going to have one. Ain't no use you trying to find the devil. A boy told me one time, he said he went out there to his car, and it was all messed up. Wouldn't crank. It was a car that wouldn't act like an automobile.
Exactly.
He went out there and he went to binding the devil and rebuking and casting out. And all of a sudden, he said the devil appeared on the front bumper. He said, "Why are you rebuking me and binding me and casting me out?" He said, "I ain't done nothing to your old raggedy car." He said, "All you need to do is get a new one." So when it comes down to these judgments, we need a new one. That new one is not a new spirit. Everybody wants a new spirit. Deal with what you got. The same eternal self that seemed to be coming to God and getting the eternal again. You just can't keep getting eternal over and over again. Is the one that is there to cover this thing. Remember, God signed his name on the dotted line in your form. That means, Lord, what can I do about this? Can I change this? You might cuss somebody out, but I hope nobody don't hear you. I might come along and see you in the liquor store. I like going to the liquor store. I don't drink it, but I like going in there. I like going in there buying it. I don't care who know it either. I used to be all prided up and say, "Ooh, they're going to kick me." I'm looking around to see if I see my church people in there, and especially if I'm going to pick it up in my hand and I'm standing at the counter, they would come in when I buy the most expensive alcohol in the moonshine store. You know, they come in, and all of a sudden I'm ready to crawl under my shell like a turtle. And I hadn't buy this for me. My wife gonna cook for this. Won't cook with it. And they look at you and say, and Jesus said through them, said, "I ain't got no judgment against you. You could have been done coming to the liquor store if you wanted. Matter of fact, you can get drunk and drink everything in there." He said, "I ain't gonna change my mind about you." He said, "I don't even have a mind in me to change anything about the way I see you." Now, that's the judgment is something that's been put into operation that we really found out after waking up to our true identity. We have nothing to do with it.
So now I want to
I
want to back up. Buzz, first of all, said something really good. He said, "We've been conditioned to believe that negative emotions and reactions are normal. They are not, and indicative that we need to work on ourselves. If I'm upset, the problem is mine and not others." And that's the key. Most of us want to point the finger at the other person
Exactly.
And say they're the reason I feel like I do. But no, the reason you feel like you do is why they showed up.
Hey, good. Man, you preach. You preaching. That's poppage.
That's poppage. But
Yep.
we had it the other way around. We thought they showed up and they made me feel this way. No, it's because I'm already feeling this way. They show up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. And I'm glad you said that. And then Dad said something that triggered something, a thought when he talked about being single-eyed. And so again, when he said it, that's why I was going and pulling up that scripture when Jesus made the statement in St. Matthew's chapter 6, verse 22, when he said, if you be single-eyed, then the body would be full of light.
Full of light.
But I looked in the NIV translation and it reads like this: the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, I like that. If your eyes are healthy, your body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. So that goes back again to perception.
Yes.
Your perceptions healthy or are they toxic? So again, whatever you focus on, positive or negative, that is going to be the reflection that's going to come back to you.
Yeah, and it goes even beyond that because the field of perception is not necessarily a positive thought or a negative thought.
Exactly.
Your field of perception is your whole outlook on life. And so when you become more, and I like what Vincent said, he said, I'm training my mind to be submissive to the willingness and ability to observe love and life and not critique love and life. So when you have made that your intention to see the best in everything, the universe becomes friendly. And that's the thing. You look at the world and say, it's so terrible, it's so bad, it's awful. But just let one of us get sick enough to think we're going to die. We don't want to live here. It's because of our field of perception that we see life as terrible, see this whole world as bad. It's not, there's a lot of beauty here, a lot of love in life here. And we have to learn to, like Vincent said, train your mind to see that.
Okay. And that's good because what Vincent just said actually is what I experienced a couple of weekends ago at the homegoing services of my wife's sister, Margaret, who transitioned. Now, again, I've been in ministry 37 years, and of course, y'all have been at many funerals, officiated them. I've did many funerals in the lifetime of my my ministry, but this one was different. It was different for some reason. I found myself actually as if I was in a classroom observing everything that was going on. I was watching with family, as many of them hadn't seen one another in years, and they, hugging one another. Hey, cuz, hey, auntie, haven't seen you. How you been? This and that, and that. And then to hear of all the achievements that her sister had achieved. You might as well say she was a historian. I didn't know that. I knew of some things that she did, but you can Google her and the list of accomplishments are phenomenal. And so I found myself observing all of that, even as when we would stay, the hotel we were staying at was at a sporting complex, and there was a baseball tournament going on. And I watched these families. I watched the fathers and the mothers be there with the sons and the brothers having their sisters supporting it. And I watched that, and I found myself not making any judgments, whatever, but just observing. And so it has such an impact on me that, not even knowing that it did, that when I woke up that Sunday morning to get ready to do our Sunday morning broadcast, I thought I was going to be talking on preaching on one topic, but that's how I got on this series concerning the importance of family. Because I noticed that even like what Vincent talked about, training the mind concerning love and life, that is so true. Because if we would get out of the rat race that we have been conditioned, like the mouse chasing the cheese through a maze or whatever, we will really see that the things that we focus on are not as important as the simple things in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. Baby girl, our dog, her bowl and her water is sitting in a position in our house. Sorry, I said church, but in our house where her back is to the front door when she eats. We've had people coming in and out for different things to repair and doing different things in the house for the last 2-3 weeks, nonstop, pretty much, to do those things. And because of that repetitive action, she now has in her field of perception, when she's getting ready to eat, somebody's going to come up from behind. So she's constantly looking back like this while she's trying to eat. So I have to literally shut one of the foyer door so that she won't keep looking back, because she has now been conditioned to think somebody's coming up behind me. That is a judgment that has become fixated in her mind.
That's good.
A belief now. So now I have to uncondition or recondition her so that her mind won't follow that belief. And so that's how we get stuck in different modes of perception. We're in belief patterns about life and how our life is going to go and what's going to happen to me and what's not going to happen to me, depending on my conditionings. What have I experienced repetitively?
That's good, Mom. That's good.
Now I'm automatically in that mode. So what do? I'm attracting that. I'm mirroring that. It's coming because I'm mirroring it.
Because you are expecting the same exact repetitive results. And that is amazing, Mom, because when you was talking about that, we must realize that many of us in the course of our lifetime is going to be involved in every type of relationship we can think of. I'm not talking about husband and wives, girlfriend and boyfriends. I'm talking about every type of relationship you can think about. When we enter into other relationships, we have to first deprogram what has happened to us, because we oftentimes think as we're going into another relationship, the same thing that happened before to us is going to be the same thing that happened again. And because of that perception and expectation, it does happen. You created it.
Yes. And we created it not so much by thinking it, but having that in our field of perception.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Vincent said this. I sat this morning with Diana and I told her every thought that was coming up that wasn't love, even though I was happy in my feelings. And see, that's good too, Vincent, because now you realize you can be feeling a certain way and your mind thinking a whole different way altogether.
I want to ask Vincent something.
Yeah.
Now, Diana, is that his?
Yes, that's his significant other.
His significant other. Okay. So I would like to hear him, comment on what was her response. Because that is a great exercise that he did with his significant other. Where he shared with his significant other that, hey, these feelings and stuff that I'm about to share with you, I'm going to share it. But again, he was still happy in his feelings.
Yes.
So now I would like to know what was her response.
Well, maybe he'll come back with that. Linda says, when Jesus said, "Judge not, lest you be judged," to me it means we are literally judging ourselves because there is only one. Yes, ma'am.
And that is correct, because that's exactly what the scripture says, because the same judgment that you give to others is the same measure of judgment that comes back to you. And why that is so important, Linda, is because the scripture I just shared out of Matthew chapter 6 about being single-eyed, it is followed up by Matthew chapter 7 concerning judge not.
Yes. And the judge not, I always say this, He didn't tell us not to judge because it's wrong or it's sin. He said not to judge because our judgment has been distorted.
Exactly.
Like baby girl eating at her bowl. Her judgment is saying, somebody's going to come in that door behind me, so I've got to make sure I'm ready. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
That was the judgment. So her judgment has now been distorted. There's not going to be somebody coming in every day when she's eating. But that's the thought that's going through her. That's the judgment. That's the belief. And so that's why he said not to judge, is because we have been so distorted by our conditionings.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't make a righteous judgment.
Exactly.
That's an old song.
You're going to sing it.
Can't no grave hold my body down. Can't no grave hold my body down. When that first trumpet sound, I'm coming out of the ground. Can't no grave hold my body down. I'm like, I always said, and them old Boris Karloff movies that you say, Dracula said, you just can't hold a good man down.
I'm gonna bring my team, and we're gonna do a recording with you guys.
Y'all make
a musical CD.
The only problem is we don't remember the words.
All I know is one-liners. Them one-liners, all them old time one-liners.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Oh,
what were you about to say though?
We are free of everything that appears in the mind.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We are the I am free, born again, unpure, and impurity self that is not distracted. The judgment is distracted with itself.
Mm-hmm.
The eternal essence is not distracted from himself because he is the real self.
Yes.
The false ideal is the fog producer that's giving off the ideal that if you don't do something to change this, it ain't gonna be done independently.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've been trying to tell y'all over and over again, you have to be brought to the end of the road. Catherine Kuhlman said she died when she came to the 1,000 deaths when she came to the end of the road.
Yeah.
The end of the road is every time she grabbed that in the First Presbyterian Church in Pittsburgh, she grabbed that doorknob. She said she died 1,000 times. Now, what I'm interested in, since I can't kill nothing, everything dead, and everything dead wants to come back alive, I want to find out, do I have to be a participant in any of it at all? Because I really don't want to take part in none of it.
Exactly.
After I found out that I don't, after I found out that everybody can't quiet their mind like some of them sages say you're supposed to do. And my leg just won't bend all kinds of ways to sit in that.
I know. I can't even do that.
Bend your leg. Now, when I was your old age, I could bend. I ain't bending, cramping up and all everything.
I can't even do that little thing.
If I cramp, I'll lose my dimension. I ain't lose my mind. I'm going to lose.
I can't even do that right, so.
Hey, cramping up.
I used to do that.
Hey.
I used to do that when I studied martial arts when I was younger. I used to do that, but Lord knows I can't do it.
Trying to fold up just a popping and a farting and can on, trying to get your leg. And once you get him in there, you got to get call 911 to get them to unlock you. I just sit straight out and just let it be. Now,
but now y'all do realize it took them a long time to practice and train to do that, right?
Look,
I don't know.
I don't even get on my knees much no more. Because it'd be hard to get up.
I get down on my knees. I get up. I feel like I'm gonna have a big old shot of moonshine. I'm dizzy and head them went swimming. I ain't doing that no more.
Listen, Jill, I wanted to mention what Jill said. She says the rest of the scripture talking about the log in the eye, to remove the log from our eyes so we can judge, to correct, to help another person. Partly, Jill, partly is when you've gotten the log out of your eye, you don't even see that person needs to be changed. That's the whole point. Our judgment is what looks at them and decides they need to be different. We can't accept them the way they are. Yeah.
that was the trigger of the statement that y'all made that was very, very profound 2 Tuesdays ago on the topic of judgment. You made the statement about us trying to change people. You see that to fit our own perception of what we think a person should be or whatever. And so we always spending that time trying to change other people.
Yes, and it's because we're disturbed by them. So the disturbance is in us. It's not them. It's the disturbance that's in us that needs to be healed. It's not they need to change. It's that one in us that has the disturbance that we need to be removed from. So the other person is that what they're doing is irrelevant. It's all about what's here. If I'm disturbed, that's my problem. It's not them that need to change. Something in me needs to take place. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Why does that bother you so much?
Do you realize most of our prayers for our loved ones is because we're disturbed? It isn't really for our loved ones. It's because it's disturbing me what they're doing or not doing.
And that brings up a conversation we was listening on a radio. It was a question presented. How would you feel if your pastor would take an extensive sabbatical or vacation? And they brought up the fact of the pandemic. You know, how pastors, this probably was a great time. And I was laughing because I had already said that already in the midst of this pandemic and stuff. But they wanted to know what people's reactions would be because they don't see that sometimes we have to steal away. Jesus did it. He did it because we're dealing with so many different identities, personalities, egos, all these different conditioning, judgments, and so forth. A person can't handle all of that at one time.
It's one of the most stressful jobs there is.
Exactly.
That in psychiatry. Pearl, hey Pearl, she says, I've come into the awareness that our thoughts create stories and that the stories create an identity, and we think the identity is us, and we will live from that identity. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right. That's good.
Creating the character and we're creating the story and the character, then you end up playing the character in the story.
Believing you're that character. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, Vincent came back with what you were talking about, Pastor Norman. He said, I was actually telling her how I stepped back. Yes, it's an exercise to see how the mind continues to look for something to be bothered by. Wow.
Yeah. That's good, Vincent.
Wow. Yes, sir. I was watching Steve Harvey on a video this morning. He was talking to a young lady. Of course, they asked him all these relationship questions. And this young lady, she was a very pretty girl. She was asking him a question about, she told him she and her boyfriend wanted to move in together. And she wanted to make sure that the move-in was transition was smooth and easy so that it wouldn't affect how their relationship is right now. And everybody in the audience went, and the older women were saying, no, don't do it. And Steve said to her, he said, you don't want to do that. He said, you know why? Because he going to leave his drawers in the floor, and he going to leave the cabinet door open. And he gonna leave the toilet seat up in the middle of the night, and you gonna sit down in the water. She said, "Don't do it because it will change." He said, "Don't do it." And so this is what we're talking about. So when people get married, especially when they get married, they think, "Man, it's supposed to be peaches and ice cream. It's supposed to be beautiful," but you deal with the quirks of the other person in that relationship, and those are the things that will disturb you. Be bothered by, as Vincent said. Oh, and the mind is constantly looking for what am I bothered by with that person? And that's when the people begin to not fall out of love, but they fall out of affection. They start losing good feelings about that person because now they're so bothered by the different things that they see. So when you come together in any kind of relationship, you got to be ready to see whatever that person is doing and realize you are going to be disturbed.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because where do we get this idea that we're going to find somebody that's not flawed?
Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't know.
Where do we get this idea from that when we flawed ourselves? And so we expected somebody to put up with our flaws, but we don't want to put up with theirs.
Yes. Buzz says worrying about someone is judgment.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it is, Buzz. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yes. Alona's here. Hey, Alona. She says, I have learned that even when someone is going through what looks bad to me, doesn't mean that God isn't in it. It looks wrong to me, but usually God is working things out his way. So I have learned to keep my mouth shut. That's good, sweetheart. That's really good.
I can shout on that.
Yeah, so good. You can do pop on that. You can pop on that. You do pop.
Yes, let's have some.
Well, go ahead and say something. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I forgot what I'm going to say.
He forgot what he's going to say.
I feel the remnants of what I was going to say.
What's saying?
I'm trying to wait.
It doesn't fit in what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit in.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Okay.
Okay.
When this thing is over in the over dimension, we are right now in getting over something dimension.
Getting over something.
Yeah, we're getting over a whole lot of stuff.
That's true. That's true.
You'll get to the place where you don't want to talk about certain subjects because they don't interest you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn the full weight of how the eternal essence communicate without words, you'll talk, but you'll always be on watch. We used to call it watch night. Remember saying that?
Watchman, what time is it? Yes, I remember.
I'm under somebody's spiritual care, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Here it is. When I was in that place in the heavenly realm of the dimensionless realm, sitting at a table, I didn't know that this table, every table that I've seen over the years is what we're doing now. Mm-hmm. I was wondering about how could I fulfill the contracts that I was reading. First, they put a hand come up from my right side, and the contract was in fine print. In fine print, you can read 60, 700 miles away the paper, and it'd be in our world, it'd be 60 miles, 1,000 miles away. But right up on us, our vision will automatically adjust itself. You don't have to do anything with your spirit self. We've been given the disguise that we got the patty cake here, put a little powder there, process. Line upon line, precept upon precept. The eternal self is not like that. So now here we go. I'm sitting at the desk, and I know the presence of Jesus is always there, but this hand came from the right side, a contract, and at this contract, it had a dotted line for me to sign. Well, I had developed an apparatus in my hand to sign it, like an ink pen or a pencil. And I was getting ready to sign it, and the hand stopped me. And I said, what is it? And the hand spoke to me and said, you will not be responsible for filling out this obligation or the contract.
Wow.
And out of the hand came a stamp. Boom. How God approved of Jesus with signs, wonders, and miracles. Mm-hmm. He didn't say how God approved of Jesus doing the miracles.
Right.
He could or could not do them. Mm-hmm. And no judgment is there because there is a mature waking up stage where you come, but God does not, and I say this sparingly, put any demands on you at all.
Yes,
it's the big lie.
That's good. That's good.
Of the contractors that said if you don't do something, it ain't gonna get done.
Exactly.
There is a undone and doing part of your eternal essence that will tell you stay the mama out of the way. The last few weddings I did, I told each one of them, and they didn't pay me no attention. I said, don't, in your marriage, don't F up. That's what I said. I got to have him. I want him. I can't live without him. I said, don't F up. And every one of them F'd it up. No sooner than one of them got down in the kitchen from the ceremony and F'd up down in the kitchen and divorced right there on the spot.
Wow.
Another one come in, found out that they've been together all these years and couldn't find no record of a license of marriage or anything. And they found out that they didn't get one. And so they come to me to do a ceremony in my office. And I did a little shouting. I think I did a little shouting. And the first thing I hear later, they done F'd it up.
Wow.
I used to always say, how many weddings have you done? I just say, well, so many, did they all stick? Did they all stay together?
I said,
no, you're not responsible for that.
That's right.
Now,
but it's funny that y'all said that, though. We may not be responsible for it, but we end up getting blamed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know what I'm here to tell you now. I know what I was going to tell you. Blame. Go ahead.
No, that's what I was saying. Because, and I just had this conversation, and that's what amazing. Why is it, I'm having a conversation with a person. We give you look to us as whatever you want to call us, your spiritual leaders, your pastors, whatever, so forth and so on. And we give you the advice.
Yeah.
And you come to us for the advice, but you already made up your mind that no matter what advice we give you, you're going to do what you're going to do, whatever you want to do anyway. And then you go do what you chose to do. And then when it goes bad, then you want to come back and blame it on the leader. And
here's something coming right quick. Right. Something coming strong. I see your sister, a sister in heaven, and she's talking to Michael and Gabriel in heaven, in the heavenly realm. She's your sister on the other side, and she's talking to them about some blueprints, plans, and contracts, and hooking you up with somebody that can help you to get the best deal you can get in whatever venture you want to get into with brick and mortar. But the angel that I see standing beside them is standing next to your sibling in heaven. I feel like maybe your mama had a miscarriage. I don't know what it is, but I see it. And God is showing that there's something of adjustment that's being made in the finality of this thing. And I hear the word okay to you. Okay. It's settled in the earth and in the heavens. He said, okay, but it's a child on the other side that, like your brother, sister, that's there, and they know something about you, and they peeping in on you from the infinite hall of records. And your contracts are coming up, and they saying, one side is saying, you're going to have to pay this. You're going to have to pay. The other side said, no, we've already covered that.
Wow.
You're getting ready to see and learn what has already been covered by the presence of God as your true self. The blueprints and the plans are inside of you. And he said this, you will automatically know it is him. You don't have to run no chances on it. You don't have to run no test on it. You don't have to run no pleas and no fleeces, or whatever you want to call it. Everything is waiting on you. It's just that when you get to the state of awareness that you are ready, then you are ready. Yeah. We waiting for God to tell us I'm ready, but God waiting on you to be the readiness. Okay?
That's
he said, I want you to be able to hang your hat on your head, on the coat and head cap rack, and not pick it up through any more emergencies. He said, you've had enough. And he said, stop creating emergencies. with your God power. That's the end of that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've been in my conversation. You've been a fly around me.
Well, see, there you go.
Yeah.
You've been in my conversation. I made a statement to someone this week.
Uh-huh.
Matter of fact, I can say my mom. And I talked to y'all before.
Your mom.
It's
Yeah,
I'm in the weirdest state I've ever experienced in my whole entire life, where I have no clue, no idea what in the world I'm going to do next.
I know you said that.
I've never been there. I've been a quote unquote called a perfectionist. I knew what I was going to do, what the plans was, whatever. But I'm at a stage in my life where I have no idea what my next move is.
You're just like Abraham, who had to go but didn't know where he was going.
No way he's going.
You have always been the self that you don't have to be. Mm-hmm. You have always been the I have, and you don't need anything else to verify, to classify you, to determine your rank and position with God. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be yourself, because you are no self, but only one self, and that's God itself. You are the eternal beingness of everything. So now here we go. Now that I'm speaking way ahead of your mouth. I'm speaking way ahead of your mind. I'm speaking way ahead of your feelings. And I'm going to speak beyond them, because if you don't, you won't be able to clarify them. As long as you're falling in line with what they say, how they say it, you won't be able to see who you are apart from them. Disagree with them, and you'll know your true self.
That's good.
Disagree with everything. That means when you come in the door, drop everything for you. Keep your britches on, but drop everything before you come in the door and say, I don't give a hootie tootie what you say to me about me. I don't care what you degrade me or honor me. I don't care if you position me. I don't care if you kiss me. You don't. Sugar, no sugar. I have settled the issue that I am nothing but what God is, and I ain't got to wait on God to tell me what I am. I ain't got to look for God in a place that I think that's going to be ready for me when I'm ready for God to show me what I need to see. I am determined right now that I shall not be moved.
Go ahead, Dad.
I shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. I shall not be moved. Jesus is my Savior. Well, I forget about that part.
that was on time. That was on time. That was time.
Shucks, boy, I'm going to stir up something here. Oh, glory be to God.
But that place of uncertainty and unknowing, that's a good place to be.
Glory, hallelujah.
It's a real
and I'm glad you said that, because that's the weird part. I'm in this place of total uncertainty. Have no clue, no idea of which way to go, what to do, whatever. I'm creating stuff, but but I feel so great.
Yes.
Oh, go on about yourself. Now, go about your business now.
That's the
going on in there. Going in there. Go ahead and bake your cake.
You're experiencing what the Bible calls the glorious liberty of
the what now?
The glorious liberty of the children of God.
The glorious liberty. Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're experiencing.
Yeah. And it's like that conditioned self is saying you're not supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be upset. You're supposed to be moping around. You're supposed to be, and I'm like, no, I feel too good to even feel that way.
Exactly.
Let me tell you this.
I don't care if failure or whatever. It don't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
As the veil of the conditioned self is stripped away. Okay, now it's stripped away. and God, the God of your eternal essence, your true self, and the true self of all others around you, you will lay down the axe, you will lay down the sword, that's the judgment. You will lay down the opinions, but at the same time, you'll see more judgments. You'll see more actions to cut more trees down. You'll see more reasons why to tell somebody you ain't supposed to do this. If you ain't a Christian, you ain't as Christian, don't do that. If you a Christian, the woods is full of them. You'll say all kinds of. Stop saying what everybody else say that sounds presentable. What happened there?
Vincent wrote a book.
My God, he cut me off there. My land. Ooh, that ain't no book. That's a whole. My God, that's
Vincent wrote a book.
That's the blueprint plan of what they made.
I gotta help you read this.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
He says we are each fully responsible for how we use the light to choose and thus attract precisely what we experience. And this power of choice is the most fundamental aspect of the radiant and sovereign soul. God is love, and love does not condemn. There is no judgment. All beings are to be forgiven and supported if they are willing to transform their orientation from fear to love, the way of the heart. Oh, that's good.
That's good, Vince. That's real good, Vince.
Yeah, that's a book, man. This book. That's
all right.
Good.
Let me finish this. He knocked the props up under me. All that literature he put up there. Hey, look. As we embark upon the reciprocal gaze, seeing God that is within us, we find that we are the one doing the gazing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You will see Jesus in everybody and everything if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you see Jesus in everything, you have operate from the heart, energy center, all the way above. If you see Jesus once in a while, every now and then, it may not be there when you want him, but it's always on time kind of talk. You're seeing from the heart down into the lower dimension, and that's where you get out of balance. Mm-hmm. Stay in balance. Now, here it is. I'm going to shut my book up, and I'm going to tell you. It takes it straight down the middle of the road. Straight down the middle of the road. What we talking about on this class, it ain't worth a fat baby's butt until you understand.
Oh my gosh.
I ain't playing with y'all. Hey, you will see exactly what I ain't playing patty cake.
Okay.
I ain't playing that old game called spin the bottle, all that kind of stuff. I ain't shooting no marbles. Well, marvel not. No, I ain't marveling. Hey, what's all that writing up there? Boy, I'll tell you.
Marvel not. I like that.
I put that there.
Oh Lord, but I can't see nobody. Anyway,
you have to see somebody.
Hey, yeah, I got to see somebody. Look here. You will have a moment. Here it is. Here's the moment. You will sit down on the side of your bed, and Jesus, you hear him walking across the floor, and the house was squeaking, pop, and you hear footsteps, and then the vision of the veil of your eyes will be open, and you'll see Jesus come to your room to sit down on the side of you at your bed at the midnight hour to let you know that the next instruction that you're going to get from him will come from the inside of you. And think it not strange and weary that these things take place, but it's time for you to have a consistent manifestation of the visitation of God in your life. Non-stop. Yes. None going. God wants to live in your bedroom, in your house, everywhere about you by you seeing him in your true identity. That's good. Drive the car. The girl, she dropped all her wine out there in the grocery store. She was loaded up. She dropped every bottle and busted it over. She said, "Oh, Jesus, take the wheel." I said, "Jesus, take." I said, "What do you need the wheel for?" You the one dropped it. Well, he was right there in it. Listen, please. I get excited, but listen. I'm gonna cool my horse now. I'm gonna cool it down. I'm gonna cool my lily. Okay. I'm gonna cool my lily. I'm gonna cure my lily. Okay. It is no longer I that live, but Christ that live.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems more like I live in certain cases.
Because we don't know who I is.
Thank you very much. When you want to talk to God, if I want to talk to God, I talk to her. Now, I meant to tell somebody this online from up in Jersey yesterday. When you find out these mysteries, you do not go out in public and talk about it with those Sanhedrin and those Pharisees out there.
People that you know will oppose
you. You good doggone hot dog well that when you tell certain people that you've been around and they ain't looking at things like you are, they don't see the oneness of God in all of us. They just see aspectively individuality. Okay. Oh, mama hashatara. Oh, glory. Oh, God. I bet. Oh, God. I don't hit the button in there. I don't hit the switch. Oh, glory. God, I believe I burnt my bread. Oh, hey, I left my bread in the stove too long.
I'm put Vince's back up here. See? That'll slow you down.
Oh, Lord, Vincent, I'm going to knock you out.
Will you say that going to slow him down, Bob?
Boy, he's gone, ain't he?
Hey, Vincent, let us know. Is The Way of the Heart a book? I think it is. I think I've seen that book. We may even have it.
The Hooper?
The Way of the Heart. The Way of the Heart.
I think it is.
You know, Dr. David Hawkins, he's crossed over now. He's no longer in the earth plane. But he mentioned the fact that there were two modes of awakening. Some people go by the way of the intellect, where they have to have questions answered and they have to have things to help them understand. And then other people go by way of the heart, and they go through devotion, and they worship, and they develop a really close, sensitive communion with God. And that's totally different from trying to get it from understanding. Yeah, he said it is a book. It is a book.
Stand beside your mule and learn how to communicate with that thing that seemed like it has pulled the load all these years in your life. Stop and look at the mule that's been pulling this thing and find out that God don't come and go to help you row this thing over. When you get to the end of this road, it don't take long for you to find out it wasn't 100-mile dash. It wasn't nothing but a few steps that you had to take.
Exactly.
And the enemy, we call it enemy, has now become our closest ally.
Yes, yes.
Oh, glory. No enemy stands before the apparent awareness of the Isaiah covenant and the bread of eternal life and the water that flows from the immaculate rocks of salvation that has been built inside of us. We don't have to look for the power of God to come to us from any direction. It's standing in us. We're standing in it. We got our feet in it, our body in it. We've been baptized with the awareness of Christ. And in our worst little bitty, small, ragged, and no good nerve, we are okay.
Yes, we are. We are all
okay.
I like that.
I wanted to just mention this that I put up before, because when we talk about seeing Christ in another person or in ourselves even, we have to see that what we won't see is a person. We won't see Christ in them as a separate person, because Christ is not a separate person. Christ is the love that's flowing through any and everything that's really willing to be that portal for that. So Christ is not, you're not going to look at another person and see Jesus with a robe and long hair and a beard. You're not going to see that. That's not what you're going to see. What you're going to see is you're going to see the pure innocence of that person, the essence of that person as being non-contaminated, or I should say, like you said, okay. They're okay. No matter what state you see them in, they are okay, because they're playing the role that their sacred script has already ordained that they play.
Exactly.
Over the years.
Now, I just want to say that when you see Christ, it's going to be love that's going to collapse the system of separation. You're not going to see separation. That's the first thing. You're not going to see separation. You're not going to see them as somebody else different from you. You're not going to be excluding people because they don't believe like you do.
Exactly.
Love is the desire to remove the gap. The first thing you're going to want to do is to be personal with them.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to be off-standing like I can't touch them. I can't get with them. That mindset won't be there. So that's seeing Christ. Love is the desire to be one and not two. That means you will include yourself with them. You will find your common ground with that person. Not so much trying to be their buddy or whatever, but you'll find a common ground with them. Love can never be demanding, but instead sets one for you. You will, when you see Christ in that other person, you will not be trying to get them to change. You will do everything you can to make them feel better. So there are different ways that you see Christ in others. It's not seeing Jesus with a long beard and long hair and a robe.
Well, I'm sorry, I have to tell you, he's got a white beard today.
He's got red beards, white beards, black beards.
I used to preach
no beard.
I used to try to preach my sermons something that will strike the audience and cause everybody to get happy and jump up and down, you know. All the mentors that I was around, I try to preach like them because they seem like they're doing a pretty good job, you know. And I want to do like them. That wasn't real. That wasn't real. But God was using that. I was using that as a stepping stone to get through to it. I finally come to the end of trying to preach like somebody else, and then I finally just let go and let God. Now,
well, that's being authentic.
Yeah.
Because the more you're trying to be like somebody else, the less authentic you're going to be.
And we'd be waiting for somebody to say, even after the funeral, boy, he really put them away. I ain't kill him. Boy, you really put them away. Oh, you really preached his film. You preached him. Boy, you preached him right into heaven. Shut up and go out and play in traffic. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff no more because I found out that I'm free from people.
Exactly.
People are free from you.
Oh, is that right? No, they ain't.
People should be.
I used to tell them you can't hire me and fire me. God the one hire me and fire me. Then I found out they did fire me.
But see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We like to say we're free from people. A lot of times people need to be free from us because we want people to change. We're the ones that want them to change and be different just so that we will feel good.
Yeah.
Dad, before I forget, when you said that just now, because the whole time y'all was talking, I don't know why my heart is going out to leaders right now. I really have no idea. But I had this impressed upon me, and you guys don't have to elaborate on it now, but it's something I want you guys to think about and ponder. And I talked with y'all for years where I think you guys actually are right now. And y'all been in ministry for a very long time. Y'all have experienced everything we could possibly think of. All right. And I've been there to witness a lot of different things. And I'm not just saying this because y'all are my gurus, my spiritual leaders, my spiritual parents. I'm not just saying this. I think of y'all highly, and I do honor everything about y'all guys because y'all have helped me greatly with discovering myself. Of course, all y'all did was assist me. I had to take the journey on my own. I understand that. But while y'all was talking, this was impressed upon me. Two questions for leaders. Now we can use this for any and everybody, but I don't know why I'm hearing this. For leaders, is there a safe place? And if it is a safe place, how do they get there?
It's a secret
and I'm
place.
talking about from leaders, whether you want to call them pastors, spiritual leaders, household bishops, whatever. Those, and I understand it's kind of confining because it brings us back into that circle that we pretty much, y'all have a greater sphere of influence that goes way beyond that. But as you was talking, and Dad and Mom, y'all been sharing your heart, because y'all been there. I've been there when Cornerstone was the place to be. And we anything that a person wanted, desired, the hype, the emotional high, I mean, from A to Z, it was all there.
Yeah.
And for you guys to evolve beyond all of that. And even like right now, when Dad was saying that, I just had this conversation this week with some people. I don't have that desire no more concerning what we used to do back in the day. And I can't find a better word to kind of describe, but it's scary. Because I'm like, that's what I've done for years, all my life. But I don't have that desire to get in front of people and try to hype them up and, say amen, praise the Lord, look at your neighbor, said neighbor, all of this. I don't have that desire no more.
And yet it will still come out of you.
And it does. And it comes out of me on the broadcast. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't planning to do that. But
one of the reasons it still comes out of you is because now it's not coming from an egoic identity that has to perform. It's coming from a place of authenticity where you really have the passion for that. So it's not now you're trying to live up to some image, but you're coming to find out. Remember, there's scriptures that talk about everything will be tried by fire, and only that is pure and true will come out on the other side. That's what's happening. You're going through the fire, so to speak. So everything that is being tested right now, like during the pandemic, a lot of pastors have been tested to see if they're going to be authentic. And so a lot of them weren't able to drop the identities of that they carried as the leader. See, the leader, I heard somebody say if you're walking and if you're a leader and nobody's following, you just taking a walk. You're just taking a walk. So this is the thing. A lot of us have developed preacher identities.
That's good.
Preacher identities want to be the police for God. They want to make sure people stay in line. So it keeps you constantly trying to correct people, constantly trying to tell them something that will help them line up. All of this stuff is part of that identity. That you really, as your pure self, could care less if people change. Because God's really not interested in people changing. He's interested in exchanging them.
That's good. That's good.
They're not fixing up the old, but getting rid of the old. Removing themselves completely from the old. And that takes you knowing who you are in order to do that. In order to point somebody else to it, you have to have already been there. You can't lead somebody if you've never been there. So
what's that whistle? Something whistling.
Oh no, y'all. That's something must be happening down the road. That's sirens y'all hear.
I thought somebody had a pressure cooker ready to blow up.
But when you ask the question, is there a safe place for leaders? I need to know what safe place for what? I mean, from what?
And let me I'll use myself. And like I said, this was, I don't know why that was impressed upon me in the midst of the conversation, but I know because of the journey that I've been through. I know, and I'm very aware of leaders that pretty much is imprisoned and they're confined, and it's like they're afraid of, like you said just now, being authentic, being who they really are. They're stuck in this world of trying to fit the expectations and perceptions and opinions of what and I'm gonna say the Christian or religious world perceive what leaders are supposed to act like, their patterns, everything. And they don't, if they like with me, okay, I'm at the place right now, when I've been there, done that, just like y'all. I've been there, done that. I started out early, all right? And I know that there's a lot of people who I used to travel with in those circles. Oh, they like, what? Apostle, what? What? You know, that the prophet who prophesied this and it come to pass, growing out legs, all this stuff like that. And I'm sitting here telling, I'm not looking for that anymore.
But you're still that. That's the thing.
And I'm still that. Yeah. And so I want them to, there are leaders that don't feel safe in
dropping the facade. Dropping the facade, yes.
Exactly. Because it's going to affect their welfare, their living, their money, all of that. Yeah. It's going to affect all of that.
Yes, it will. And that's what they're afraid of.
Exactly.
Is there a safe place? Not from having to drop the facade, no. But they will, because they would have to enter into that place that you say you're now in, when you don't know which way you're going to go. But it doesn't bother you that you don't know, because you're not living by the mind anymore.
And I want to say that to them because, again, I'm in this place of uncertainty, and it's this part of me is trying to make me feel depressed. It's trying to make me angry. I should be upset. I should be frustrated. Mm-hmm. I should jump off the balcony and kill myself. Or whatever. And it's not working. It's not working. I am feeling so much joy and freedom until it ain't funny.
See, and that's what we're saying. When you really find out who you are, there is a lot of freedom and joy that comes with that, because you're no longer having to wear the hat to be the character that you've been trying to build all these years. But at the same time, the functions are still there.
Okay.
Exactly.
3 times in my life, at least, I was accused of something that I didn't do. Mm-hmm. I was out in the front yard beside the house. My brother, the youngest brother, come down the street on a bicycle. He got off the bicycle, and I said, "Where you get that bicycle from?" He never did tell me. He come from somewhere at the fairground somewhere, and whoever the bicycle belonged to, they found out where it was. And the whole time that my brother was stealing his bicycle, I was home in the yard. So when my mom and daddy come to the end of this thing, Mr. Unthink, who was the truman officer, had called them to come in and bring us with them. Mm-hmm. I kept telling everybody, I said, I did not steal that bicycle. My daddy looked at me and Mr. Unthink said, "Clifton, shut your mouth." I couldn't defend myself. I couldn't do anything.
Couldn't prove it.
All right, here we go again. Couldn't prove it. My uncle gave me some money to do some things with insurance. He told everybody around, he reached in the park and gave it to me. Told everybody in the family that I took it from him. And that was a lie. I didn't. He gave it to me. And the minute he told
and he
that.
He did it because he had dementia.
Yeah, he had dementia. I was getting ready to mention him too. And I was going to mention him. Dementia or amentia or C, D, F, G. Dementia. I was going to bust him open. So anyway, so I got the word and I'll come back over there. I said to him and the family sitting on the porch, I said, "This is the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm through with you. I don't have nothing to do with you." I said, "What I ought to do is pull you up out of that chair and whoop your butt from one end of this corner to the other for the lie." But I said that, and everybody said, "Oh, sorry, don't touch him, don't touch him." They're holding me back. Hey, hold me. And then I went to the bank, got the money, and gave it to him. I said, "Here's your money." I said, I had it all the time, but I said, "Don't mess with me." Then when it got bad in the storm, his chimney fell down in the house. I mean, a chimney fell down inside the house. And I got the word again there. Clifton went over there and knocked his uncle's chimney down, trying to kill him.
Well, you said 3 times, but it's more than that.
Yeah, it's more than that. God, man.
Yeah, because they accused you of taking his money out of the bank.
Yeah, then I got the word.
They accused
you. My mama said, Clifton, they telling everybody in the family that you went around and took his money out of the bank.
Yeah.
And I found out who was taking it.
Yeah, and listen, not only that, your sister accused you of selling her chair.
Yeah, she gave me an old chair. She wanted me to reupholster, and I let her sit down there, and it went to the bed, and I told her the chair wasn't no good. You took the chair and sold it to somebody. And I said, no, I gave it back to the man that gave it
So
to
you
me.
had plenty of times when they accused you.
And I could not defend myself. I could not, just like Jesus. But yet, in my heart, I'm just like Jesus in my heart.
You better go ahead.
In my heart, I'm just like him. I'm just like Jesus in my heart. Huh?
No, this is it. You like Dick Tracy.
Oh, Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy. She said, Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy.
Vincent know about Dick Tracy.
Yeah, he know about that.
See, like he old enough to know about Dick Tracy.
Him and Hopalong Cassidy was the only. Him and Buck Rogers and Hopalong Cassidy was the only one that could fight, and the hat wouldn't come off.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
I want to reach in the picture and slap him.
Bringing all that up was. You don't remember, do you?
I'm dry, but I will.
Yeah, but we
I think it was in reference to pastors or leaders being safe or whatever. Yeah.
And there was no way, like he said, to prove that he had done none of that.
Okay, here's my point. From the age of 4 or 5, give or take a little, I heard somebody say, when you pray, go into the closet. And it's in Matthew, we're talking about that. And your Father that see
you
in secret shall reward you openly. Okay.
Matthew 6.
I went in there. I wasn't able to quote the scripture like some could, but I didn't know God was giving me messages, sermons, or things to teach and preach like we're doing now. Being insecure, I didn't think I could do that unless I could read, but I finally did. I learned how to do a little bit of that. And then I found out that in the secret place, inside of you, there's a place like your closet. So what I did when I moved in this house, and every house I've been in, I secured a place that she started to help me with it. When I go in my closet, it's totally dark. It's darker than the blackest man on the moon. And I went in that closet and I started asking God for help. When I go in there now, I don't ask for help with English words. I very seldom talk straight words. I go in there and travail, what baby said, cooing. I go in there and coo. My prayers are cooing prayers with vibration sounds. And I go in there and I stay there, and then I don't go into the 8, 9, and 10 hours like I used to, because I know that the 8, 9, and 10 hours is spread out over a duration of time. So I ain't rushing nothing. I ain't in a hurry. But I am on call like a policeman or a doctor. I'm on call that if I'm sitting there watching television or anywhere, and that even the thought of going in there is him talking to me, go in. I go in. Everything that has ever been sent to me on paper and cards in the last few months or years is in that closet. They stay in there with me. Some of them never come out. I request everything. I don't tear them up. I keep them because I soak them in the oil of awareness, consciousness of who Christ is in the closet. When I get through, I come out. Sometimes I might come out ugly. It might come out pretty. It might come out mean. But I come out like I'm a grown man, okay? Mm-hmm. So now that I've found out that if these preachers were to stop, you ready for this? Stop trying to impress God.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And people, it's God. I'm going to show the Lord. I'm going to take what is mine. I'm going to go in there and earnestly contend, and I'm going to take mine. I'm going to be in there. If I have to go in there, supposed to be pulling God's arm and trying to make him bring you an extra Christmas present. God ain't riding on no slave Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer. He's riding in a brand new car. So I'm gonna go in there and contend with God till I get the car. I never seen so many people want Jesus and God to give them things.
Yeah.
Give them some money.
Yeah.
I need $1,000 right now. I ain't asking God for it directly. I'm asking y'all online to send it to me. That's what they really want to do. They want to ask the people to do it because they don't try to. Now they come up with gimmicks.
Yeah.
You know, the Lord told me that if you give me a $5,000 or $1 million, I'd buy me an airplane to help me get across from the Red Sea to the Dead Sea.
Now you know.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the truth? You just want more money. That's all it is.
Exactly.
And bring me a hot dog with bun and slaw and chili.
Where's Vincent's book?
Hey, I'm gonna quit. I'll see you. We're gonna see y'all. We're gonna see y'all. See y'all Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Okay, Pastor Norman, you hold your britches on.
Buzz says his life is enough for him.
You know that's true, right? That's right. That's the truth, Buzz. That is the truth, Buzz. Now you know something. You got it tied down on both sides, Buzz, and you hold it in the middle. I can tell you it's working too.
That's it.
And hey, you don't have to lie no more. You don't have to false examine everything. You know what God is in your life. Don't try to prove it to nobody. Just go on about your stinking monkey business.
Okay. Hold up. Can you hold up for a minute? I want to just acknowledge Deborah. Hey, Deborah, we had a wonderful conversation with your son on yesterday.
Oh, she there. Yeah. Okay.
And thank you for tuning in today. Just want to let you know.
We're hoping that we said something to him and tell him, hey, look, Deborah, tell him that some of the mysteries that we talk about who he was, tell him not to go around telling everybody who he is because they'll knock him up.
And on that note, we are going to sign off and take off, and we'll see you again on
We're going to be talking to you again from the secret place.
On Sunday at 10, and Pastor Norman on Sunday at 11.
Not this Sunday. We're looking at possibly 9 o'clock this Sunday morning.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm traveling. Yeah.
Okay, Linda, baby girl, has had a pain pill. And she's snoozing because she pulled another muscle playing.
Yeah, she keep doing that.
She's right over here. She ate her treats and then she's taking a nap.
I'm about ready to do what she's doing too, take a nap. Hey, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much. And we will see you on Sunday.
All you guys out there, be happy, be safe, and we'll thank you again for tuning in.